Hello, everybody. Hello, Lauren. Thank you for holding this beautiful space.
Yeah, so let me just do a quick introduction and then allow you to introduce yourself. So, Julia's work stems from the divine feminine nature, honoring wisdom intertwined with the Christ path, bringing ancient ritual alive to nourish the modern woman human being. Think experimental early Jesus following movement before Christianity was formed, plus full moon gatherings. Think the think the faith of your grandmother plus the rhythms of nature and the moon that have guided sacred gatherings since the beginning of humanity. And I love well, let me just share a little bit because we don't know each other too much personally, but we're new to each other's work, and she's local in my area. And what I am so in awe of is the strength and courage and the wisdom and the power that it takes to stand as someone who claims to be the Protestant priestess in these times because your work is probably going a little bit against the grain of the system that you are are operating in, and it's clearly creating just a beautiful place for people to really land in their spirituality through the the constructs of more formal religion. And so you're just like a forerunner, really, and it must just really take a lot to feel um, so aligned with who you are and to really speak your truth. And I honor you for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That's such a beautiful, um, trusting way to guide me into this space of just standing at the crossroads of the sacred feminine path and the Christian path, and saying that they don't need to conflict with one another, that there's ways that they weave, and that's not the Christianity that we see in the world. By and large, it's there, and I believe it has been practiced through the lineage of Mary Magdalene and through women priestesses um, throughout the centuries. So what I'm hoping to do, I'm an ordained Christian pastor in the United Church of Christ. I've been ordained for 11 years. Actually, yesterday was my ordination anniversary, and I serve a church as a senior pastor in Madison, Wisconsin. This is a role that only men have ever held. And my first church I served in Connecticut, it was a 350-year-old church, and I was the first female pastor. And they're very open to that, but it just revealed to me, when I really stand in my true embodiment and the wisdom of, how the divine speaks through me, it's different than how the male embodied pastors who came before stand in that place. So I've been really curious about creating ritual from that early Christian time period and really coming to scripture from the lens of a scholar, looking at the whole historical critical context. And that's my training. And then being able to bring like tidbits of history and practices that people were doing that were subversive during that time that maybe didn't make it into Christianity as we know it now, but were very resonant with the Jesus path, the movement that the person of Jesus created, and the the ways that it was practiced and people were experimenting during that time. So I would love to guide you through one of these rituals. And I would invite you, if you don't have a scarf with you right now, to get one. This is a veiling ritual. And I I love like the saging and burning and smudging rituals that come from indigenous cultures and sometimes indigenous European cultures as well. And to me, this is a way of kind of getting at that same clearing of your energy, clearing of your aura, seeking protection, and asking the divine to kind of cover you, purify you. That's not sort of appropriating a different culture. And I think there's very ethical ways to do saging and smudging and that sort of thing. But I've seen in my context it be sort of something that's stolen from indigenous culture. And I wanted to create a ritual that is deeply based in the Christian path that kind of gets at the same thing. So I invite you to take your veil and put it over your lap for right now. Let it sort of cover your womb space, your legs. And this scarf, this veil could be something ordinary that you use often, or something really special that you, like a beautiful piece of fabric that makes you feel sensual and beautiful and good. The ancient Christian sacred feminine practice of covering our heads to pray. The early Christians were given this invitation to pray without ceasing, to pray all the time, to let everything you do be a prayer. And the women in particular, were covering their heads. And this was part of Jewish culture too, which Christianity was born from. And there's this scripture in one of the letters from Paul. It's about women covering your head to pray. And it's been used to oppress women and enforce kind of awful gender roles that were outdated then and are outdated now. And it's sort of this garbage about the man is the head of his wife, yet Christ is the head of the house. And because of that, the woman has to put the authority on her head to go to pray. So it's this sort of like hierarchical thing. That's how it's been interpreted. But I want to say that we miss in the text when it says women were covering their head to pray. Greek women during the time of Jesus weren't wearing head coverings. So veiling was countercultural. It was an indication that these women were following their own path of liberation, their own essence and truth within their families. So I'm wondering, for us today, how could veiling or head covering be used to promote sovereignty, belonging to yourself, belonging to the divine, a protection ritual? And we see veiling, veils are worn as head covering to, in Muslim culture. Veil is a symbol of submission or surrendering to Allah. And there are lots of communities, more Eastern Christian communities, where women still cover their heads to pray. But by and large, in Western American culture, which is my context, it's something that has been just kind of thrown out. And in fact, the feminist movement has sort of said women don't need to cover their heads to pray. And wow, what an oppressive thing. Okay, so what we're doing today is reclaiming that, reclaiming veiling as a way of belonging to our own soul's essence, belonging to God, what we know and experience of God, of the divine. And a way of releasing all the stories that are in our sphere, all the ways that we are hooked into other narratives about who we should be, what it means to belong, what we should, all the shoulds that are around us. In a moment when we put the veil over our heads and bring it up over our faces, we're going to imagine just clearing all those tendrils of connections to things that don't serve us, that don't reflect our divine nature, and sort of reclaiming, bringing all those things back into our soul. So have the veil over your lap, over your womb space, and just rest your hands on your lap, touching the veil, sort of feeling the fabric. And breathe a few times, just landing in this space even more deeply. And take the edge of the veil and sideways, kind of begin to bring it up over your torso, over your chest. And as you bring it up, imagine that this veil is a shield of protection, an extension of your beautiful golden aura, a reflection of the divine light within you and around you, a physical manifestation of the divine's protection of you. And as you bring it over the front of your body and bring it in front of your face and eventually over your head, imagine clearing away anything that does not serve you, any outdated patterns, any thoughts or negativity that you want to release. Allow the veil to cleanse and clear as you bring it over your face and eventually over your head. And let the sides drape over your shoulders, over your heart, the top of the veil just sort of over your forehead, or however it feels comfortable to you. And feel the gentle weight of the veil over your head. As a way of protecting your mental health as well as your spiritual health. If you imagine almost coming out of your head, all the thoughts that connect to the ways other people make meaning about who you are, all the shoulds that surround you, all the unhealthy patterns that the world lays on to you about what it means to be who you are, to be in your identity that's defined from outside of you. Imagine those tendrils like golden threads beginning to come back into your heart center. Unhook from the places where other people make meaning for you and hook back into the light of the divine within you, your soul's truth. As you feel the veil over your shoulders and head, imagine just kind of quieting your mind and bringing all those external thoughts back into your heart. I invite you to place your hands over your heart right now. And breathe into your heart space. And feel the veil as protection from God. As the divine is pouring her love onto you and into you. Allow dwelling in God's love in the lap of the goddess to be the most important thing that defines you. I belong to spirit. I belong to the divine. I belong to myself. I am divine love. I am protected. I am covered and drenched in God's protection and healing love. As these mantras flow through you, see what might arise from the sovereignty of your own being, of the light of the divine within you, as you root back in to your center. What prayer is on your lips, on your heart? And take a few moments to listen, to see what comes to your lips in this moment. Hear the invitation from the Holy One, the divine source of life, to pray without ceasing, to allow your life force to be prayer itself. That as we emerge from this day and from these rituals, may we be protected by God's goodness, by the creative life force of the goddess. May we be protected by the power of the light and the darkness within each of us that represents the wholeness of creation. May we be confident and stand firm in who we are, in the ways that we show up in the world. And as we remove the veil, whenever you're ready, and bring it down over your shoulders, allow yourself to imagine everything that needs to be cleansed from your mind, just sloughing right off of your head. Any anxieties or worries or fears just evaporating from your being. That the veil is cleansing and purifying you so that you may show up as love in your life. Show up with confidence and assurance of the call that's been placed in your life to love and to make your life force be a devotion of prayer in service of goodness and truth and beauty and joy, in service of the whole. And take a few more breaths here. When you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes if they were shut. And as you open them, look around your space as if you are changed, as if you are more connected to your divine essence, as if you know you are protected, that there's nothing that can separate you from the love of the divine, no matter what happens. You are rooted and grounded and protected by love by the source of life itself. And if you feel moved to share any prayer that came through you, or any feelings that you have of your own essence, feel free to put them in the chat so we can amplify each other's prayers for one another. I am holy. Yes. Feels so sacred to veil. So deeply moving. Yes. Mm. Yes, I love that. Softness of the world around me. Feel more myself, protected in my own boringness. I love that sort of ordinariness of who we are. Beautiful. So feel free. I mean, it sounds like some of you have this practice of veiling. I am woman. By just being that, I exude love. Oh, beautiful. I use this practice of veiling for mental health ritual for myself. Like when I'm really feeling like I'm hooked into someone else's storyline about who I am, just a way of bringing it all back in and rerouting. So I invite you to just take this and let it be a reminder to you that any moment and any time you can seek that protection and exude love um, just in your boringness as you are. Thank you so much. You all are so beautiful. Thank you, Lauren, for this
Thank
space.
you, Julia. Oh, that was so lovely. Mm. Mm. It's funny as I was thinking, as we were bringing this practice into retreat space, I was thinking about how many times I've told one of my kiddos to like take his hood down because you know how kids like to wear the hoodies. They all have hoodies, and a lot of times they just and it drove me nuts. And I know that this particular child likely uses it to calm his nervous system and to feel that protection. And sometimes it might even be to hide themselves, but like, I get it. I get why. And I've found that in my own life, the busier I am and the harder it gets to sort of just get quiet in my meditative practices, and veiling has been so helpful. And honestly, my veil is typically this really oversized fleece kind of jacket that has a really large hood. I flip it over and it covers my eyes and it feels like it shuts the world out so I can really drop in, but it's like I need the help. I need the support, and I feel like that veiling really does, I don't know, soften the outer world so that we can focus a little bit easier in our inner space. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. I love the hoodie wearing as a version of veiling. That's so, I think you're so right about that. And what a beautiful interpretation.
Right. Thank you, Julia. I really appreciate this process and this gift to us. And yeah, I think it will really support us.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.